business.
How annoying. How annoying was that?
Didn't bother me.
Did we alienate our whole listenership just now?
I don't think so.
How many listeners are listening right now, do you think?
Live?
And it is now is a relative term in podcasting world.
Now could be any time.
It could be any time except for
right now.
Except for now.
Except if they're listening to it right now.
No, but our now is right now. This is now for us.
But when they listen to it, then it's right now.
Yeah, right. Future, it can
there
be,
now.
Now can be
There's
any
our
time
now and there now.
in the future. Can it be in the past? No. That was a rhetorical question, of course.
Ooh.
You look at you.
I'm getting cozy over here.
You just put your feet up on the two-person couch.
I realize this mic is angled for me to just be relaxed here.
To turn into the psychology therapy session for Lyndon. Lyndon, when do you first remember wanting to eat poop? He's thinking about it.
I don't think there ever was a time.
You know, a friend of mine got cryptosporidium because they handle animals. They're like in the farming world.
Right.
And they cut animals up and or what's it called? Cows.
Meat packing? Slaughterhouse?
Livestock. And her job is essentially to go to places, cut the dead cows, and diagnose how they died. And she got cryptosporidium.
Do I know her?
From it. I don't think so. Yeah, we just had a technical malfunction. I'm sure you didn't even notice. The listener wouldn't have even noticed. You know why?
Because they're listening to it right now.
Right now, which is future now, which if
they didn't hear the kerfuffle that wasn't recorded.
No, we had a whole discussion, a secret discussion, if you will, about my crappy computer, how I need a new one. You're like, there's one for $500. And I'm like, what are you talking about? A MacBook for $500? And you're like, oh, no, it's a friggin' Acer. I'm like, I don't want Acer. What's Acer?
A computer company.
Friggin' garbage.
What's Apple?
Apple?
Overpriced trash.
Hey.
You know what happened to my Apple Mac? It's dead. You know what happened to yours? It's dead.
Hey, we're recording on it right now, pal.
Are we?
Oh, crap, no.
You better double check.
It stopped. It deleted everything.
Did you listen back to the last thing we said?
It was about cryptosporidium. You know what?
Which, of course, I know everything about.
I'm glad it was almost like the computer was like, hey, just talk about something else, okay?
Pump the brakes on that.
Cryptosporidium. What are you that desperate for content, for conversation? You got to talk about cryptosporidium?
We're talking about eating poop.
And eating poop, and that's how you get cryptosporidium.
Was she eating poop?
She was eating the poop, yeah.
As part of the diagnostic, where she's like, "What happened to this poor cow?"
She was mouth pipetting cow
stool samples.
Yeah, mud pies as we call them in Alberta.
Right,
as you know, because you grew up on a farm.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have pipettes on the farm. You'd pick up a mud pie and you'd break it apart in your hands to diagnose it.
Yeah.
Because then you got to get it. Shooting the mic at my face. Because then as you crumble it in your hands, then the aromatics are released.
You, for the listener, which is all of you, I'm the only viewer here now. Lyndon was... Now I'm doing it. I don't know how to describe it.
So now do I have to describe? Troy is holding his hands in front of him, wringing them back and forth as if he's breaking apart a cow pie. Alternatively called a mud pie.
Which, as we in Alberta, we have a lot of... Is time a flat disc?
Time is a flat disc.
Are we just repeating ourselves? We are, is the answer.
Speaking of growing up in Alberta...
Yeah.
as I drove here, tail end of rush hour, I was sitting there. I'm like, Calgary, 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 Calgary. And then I was like, where do I even live? I live in Calgary. And it's like, for a second, I didn't believe that was the name of the city I live in. It couldn't have been real.
Is that the Mandela?
It won't make sense to anyone. I don't think.
Is that the Mandela Effect? Is that what that's called? Like the Berenstein Bears thing? Or is it Berenstein? Or is it Berenstein? Berenstein.
Yeah, it's something like that.
That stupid thing that happened.
Yeah.
The internet was like, oh, here's a stupid... Don't you hate the internet?
Sometimes.
It's just like, all of a sudden, you wake up one day, and all of a sudden you're like, there's like a new stupid thing I gotta like learn about.
Yeah.
Like, okay, boomer.
Yeah.
That was an organic segue, wasn't it?
Yeah. Or it's like in The Office, when they couldn't decide if Stanley had a mustache or not.
Yeah.
And they had to draw a picture of him.
That's right.
They couldn't remember if Stanley had a mustache or not.
Yeah.
What was the famous example of that?
I thought it was something with Nelson Mandela, where people are like, "Was he the president?" And they're like, "No."
President of South Africa?
Yeah. Isn't that what that is? The Mandela Effect.
He was in prison.
He was in prison. He was the reality that I'm familiar with is that he was the president of South Africa.
Eventually, like he got out of prison and was
after like 30 years
president.
In prison. What do you go to prison for?
I think for opposing the whole apartheid thing.
Dissension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think it should be like this, and they're like, straight to jail.
Send him to jail.
Straight to South African jail. So the point is he never was president?
No, he was. I don't know what the point was, actually. I don't know even if I'm saying that let's look this up.
I mean, we can talk about, okay, I'm looking up Nelson Mandela Effect.
The Mandela Effect. I think that's what that is. That's what my brain is bringing. As I query my brain for that phenomena, the one whereby people are positing that maybe we live in an alternate universe wherein, or that there was some, that some people remember things differently.
Sorry. I look up Mandela Effect and it just goes to the Wikipedia article. Mandela Effect is the remix album by American musician Gonstufa. Not what I was looking for.
And that is what we're talking about.
So the Mandela Effect is the fact that we thought that it just goes to false memory.
Okay. That works.
Yeah, false memory.
Maybe it has nothing to do with Nelson Mandela. Maybe it's just a different guy named Mandela.
Yeah. How come it goes to false memory but never... So like the Mandela Effect itself is a Mandela Effect because it's nowhere to be found on the internet.
We're misremembering the Mandela
Oh, no,
Effect.
it's because... So the person that named it, it's because they said that Nelson Mandela was dead.
Ah.
And then she was like, hey, everyone, you know that Nelson Mandela's dead. And they're like, oh, yeah, that was terrible when he died. But he was still very much alive.
Right. He is dead now, though, right?
Kind of like when, what's his name? Drew Carey died.
So sure he's still alive.
Oh, yeah, he's doing The Price is Right.
You're doing it right now. You're pulling a trick on us.
Is he, though?
My friend did that to me with, what's her name? Queen Latifah. He was like, Queen Latifah's dead, dude. I'm like, oh, yeah, she is. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Not dead.
She's not dead.
Yeah. You're like, I have no answer for what you're trying to milk out of me.
I would hope she's still alive.
Why? Are you a big fan?
No.
It's just sad when people die. Except if they're in great pain.
Then they should be dead.
Then I every moment of their elongated life is a tragedy.
Okay, so now we're on
deep water here.
Back to Okay Boomer.
Deep
Speaking
water.
of forced, what's that
Segways?
word? No.
Forced internet, stupid crap.
The word for killing people. Euthanization.
Euthanization?
Yeah. Shouldn't we be doing that to all the boomers?
I think all our parents are boomers.
Yeah, they are.
Do you want to do... And they're like relatively young and vibrant.
Well, our parents, I think, are the tail end of the booms.
Who's the oldest boomer?
I think the oldest boomer was born in 45.
Are you for real?
Yeah, I think like boomers are like 45 to like 65.
Wow. So, okay. What do we think about boomers, Lyndon?
Well, the internet says that we hate them.
Why do we hate boomers?
Because we're millennials.
Yeah.
Our parents are like young boomers, and we're like the very beginning of millennials.
If there was a great war between the boomers and the millennials, who would win?
Well, the boomers, obviously, because
they
they
got the practice.
They've got the capital, the means for warfare,
the power. They're in charge.
Landowners.
They're landowners. They're gentry. And what do we have? Podcasts. Hearts and minds. Ideas.
Scrappy attitudes.
Scrappy. We're younger, so we can run longer and faster.
Agile, yeah.
We're agile. We believe things that we hear.
I think
we complain on the job a lot, apparently.
Yeah. If we can even get a job.
We can't get jobs.
If we can get a job, we're complaining the whole time.
We need a vacation request right away as soon as we get the
mental
job.
Health days every other day.
Yeah. I need to be coddled at work. That's for sure.
Like everyone needs to reassure me about how good I'm doing.
I need to be told that I'm doing well.
Yeah.
And I need to know that Boomer is not going to get me.
I need a safe place from the booms.
I like how it's like it almost is like Boomer has become the way that like the Brits would call like Jerry in World War II, you know, like Jerry's out there, or the more inappropriate term, which I'm going to use in an academic sense now, the Americans would call the Vietnamese soldiers Charlie.
Yes.
And don't laugh at that. It's not funny. So anyway,
wait, is there humor? I don't think it is funny.
Okay.
Charlie.
I was going to see if I could make you laugh. You know, like, oh.
Charlie.
So that's funny. Do you think that anything could be made funny?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
With the right delivery, the right timing, saying it really fast
and loud,
saying things fast and loud.
Okay. So now that the new thing is Boomer.
Well,
Boomers in the bush is getting stronger.
Well, here's the thing: is they're cracking down in workplaces.
On who?
Because the millennials have been saying "Okay, Boomer."
Oh yeah.
Or passing around "Okay, Boomer" memes, and the boomers
they don't like it.
They don't like it,
no,
and they're saying you can't do it at work. But then conversely, they're cracking down on millennial jokes.
Okay.
So you can't make fun of the millennials anymore if you're a boomer, and the millennials can't say "Okay, Boomer."
So the boomers were like, "Hey, you can't make memes about us," and then they're like, "Okay, Boomer."
Okay, Boomer. You don't even know what a meme is.
Did your dad? I was thinking about this. Did your dad ever mispronounce stuff that you like on purpose, like your video game consoles?
Well, yeah, he'd be like, "How's your veggie games?"
Such a boomer thing.
Yeah, playing your veggie games.
Why veggie games?
It's disrespectful to not pronounce it. And yeah, it's like video games turn you into a vegetable.
Right.
Veggie games.
Veggie games, because it's veggie games, like veggie.
But I actually thought it was very humorous. And to this day, I always call them veggie games.
I play veggie games every day before bed.
I'm guessing your father gave you the same treatment.
He would call... I was trying to think of exactly what... I'm going to Mandela Effect myself here, even trying to think of what he called the Xbox. I think it was that he would call the PlayStation Xbox or something. He'd be like, your PlayStations, he'd like put a S on, he'd pluralize it. Or it'd be like the Mox box or something.
Right.
It's like he could never pronounce it exactly. Like, it's Xbox and PlayStation, Dad.
Well, and my wife, this is a real boomer attitude she has.
You married a boomer.
I married a boomer. That was another thing. They're just like, boomer's not just an identity for a generation. Boomer is a mindset.
It's a mindset.
So it's like some millennials are boomers.
Yeah, I'm born a boomer.
Where she calls all the video games Game Boy. She's like, how are you playing your Game Boy?
Her and my dad would get they've been talking to each other, I bet.
And I'm like, ha 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 ha.
How's your Game Boy? Yeah, they just.
I just go with it. I'm like, Game Boy's great.
You're very easygoing with that kind of stuff. What do you not eat? Let's come back to that. What are you not easygoing about? I'm gonna write that down. Don't answer yet.
We'd have to get Jasmine on the horn.
I want to know. Okay, easygoing. Right before that, I probably lost that other thought though. I wanted to circle back around to, which was about
boomer
mindsets. The war between boomers and millennials.
And the poor Gen Xers just caught in the middle.
Yeah. What are we? We're millennials, right?
Yeah.
There's one after us right now.
Gen
20-year-old.
Z. I think 20-year-olds are still millennials.
Is that true?
Well, actually, it's hard to say because Generation Z or Z, they're cropping up. They're turning into adults, I think now.
I know. That's the thing.
We're
30, dude.
Yeah. Let's see. An 18-year-old now was born in 2001.
Oh my gosh.
So
right when the World Trade Center was just getting pummeled to the ground by extremist terrorists.
So someone who turned 18 today never knew about the trade centers. They never lived on this earth.
Yeah, and
with the trade centers erect.
And I'm sorry, I laughed at that.
How dare you?
Not everything is funny, Lyndon. Except when you say it quickly and loud and fast with a zip-a-doo manner.
So I think if you're born after 2000, I think that's when you start getting into Gen Z territory.
Is the Twin Towers? Is that our sort of?
That's the cutoff.
Our cutoff here.
If you weren't alive,
pre and post 9/11.
Yeah.
If
you weren't alive then, don't talk to me about being a millennial.
So it's like that joke that Theo or someone else had, where it's like you ask a girl, so where were you when the planes hit the towers? And if she's like, I was at the hospital being born.
She's too young for you, bro.
She's too young for you. So, and that's just true.
But then if she answers appropriately, then it's over, because what a terrible date. Now that you're talking about 9/11.
Dude, I love talking about 9/11. You
That's
know
true.
that.
I know that. It's got you in some hot water.
Hot water. Have we told that story?
We have told that story on the
Guy
podcast.
wanted to punch me in the face.
Guy wanted to punch you.
My old bishop wanted to punch me in the face.
Your old bishop and potential
employer.
He really could have got you ahead in life.
I had just come home from my mission, and he was, the promise
so
of a
full
job.
of the truth.
Yeah.
You were fresh off the mission.
Yeah.
Nothing was more important to you than the truth.
This wasn't just off the mission.
No, this was like years later.
I wouldn't have been truthin', 9/11 truthin' right after the mission. I would have been like gospel truthin' then. This was like I just graduated university. That was the life milestone that had just occurred. So I just needed a job, friend's bachelor party, old bishop. Hey, maybe I can get you a job. Great. Hey, let's talk about 9/11. And then he gets offended and wants to punch me in the face.
Though,
and I'm like, okay, boomer.
To your credit,
yeah,
you were making valid logical points.
Yes.
And he was being irrational and emotional.
He was standing on the dead bodies of children.
rather than listening to your argument, he would rather have talked about the people he knew that died.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is it's fishy. That's my only argument when I talk about 9/11 is that it's fishy.
Yeah. Strange that you questioning the cause of the event, it's like it disrespected the dead somehow.
That's what he thought. That's how he felt. And I can see where he's coming from, but also I don't know, it's like
pretty boomer mindset, right?
It is a little boomery of him. And he is a boomer. So,
but he didn't punch you.
He didn't end up punching me, but I must say our relationship has never been the same. / I haven't spoken to him since that day.
Which made sense considering the current climate of millennial boomer relations.
Cancellation. Talk about cancel culture.
Yeah, you got canceled.
He canceled me from his little black book. I actually did. I texted him afterwards and I was like, hey, I didn't mean to, sorry. He's like, yeah, no worries, bro. Then we didn't talk again. Because I was like, maybe he has a job for me.
No.
There was no job. So.
You deal with a lot of boomers at your work?
Oh, yeah. It's Boomer City. It's like a boomer hive.
I would think so. Government work.
Dude.
They love that stuff.
I swear there were some people born in 45 that are working there. Wait, how old would someone born in 45 be now?
Is that 70?
Oh, yeah, we got a couple, though. We got a few of those.
Is that 77 or something?
Sounds about right. I don't know.
What year is it?
2019. Yeah, man. The government's funny because...
you don't have 70-something old
yes,
people.
We do.
They're in their 70s and they haven't retired?
Yes. That's what I was about to say, is that government's it's nice in that way, but also it's like, retire and let some young millennials have your job, please.
Wouldn't they have that sick pension if they were just retired? Or is the job just so easy? Working over at the old CRA.
I did hear that
they're like, I can just die. I'll just die at my desk.
This was one of the things that the guy who I'm thinking of, he's from like India or Pakistan, and he's like 70s approaching 80s, and someone was like, why are you still working? Why don't you retire? And he's like, I did manual labor back home. That was a job. This is like easy. This is easy work. So, but he's
okay, boomer.
Such a boomer way to just be like, oh, you work in an office?
He's like, I retired when I took this cushy job.
Yeah. So, I mean, fair enough. We're all pansies.
He's
Millennials
like, if
are
only
pansies.
you millennials were as tough as us and worked till you died. It's like, we're going to work till we die. We don't have a choice. Please quit your job so a millennial can have it.
Quit your job. Reduce your CO2 emissions while you're at it.
Yeah.
Stop eating meat.
Well, if he's from India, like you said, he probably doesn't.
Probably not a beef eater. Is that what I'm thinking of? What's the religion that doesn't eat beef?
Hindu.
I
think they're typically vegetarian as well.
What about Sikhs? He's a Sikh. He's got the turban.
Oh, the Sikhs. I don't know about their dietary restrictions.
I know Muslims do not eat ham.
Pork,
pigs, lamb chops.
I mean, you're not wrong. They won't eat ham, but it's more than that.
It's so much more than that. Do you know, man, that... I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but from the last episode, Mormslims is the funniest joke of all time. When I was like, let's make a church with Muslims and Mormons, we'll call it Mormslims. That's so funny. Not anymore, though. I just ruined it.
Nice try.
Nice going. Nice going. What do we call millennials then? Because we need boomers so good. Like boomer, so good. What's like a good boomer equivalent? Like millennials, like too many syllables.
I think that's how we like it.
It's complex.
Millennials.
It takes a 3-hour conversation to talk about millennials.
Well, because every time you got to say millennial every time. Speaking of complicated things you got to say is watching The Mandalorian.
Okay.
And then I watched a few YouTube videos that they're like, oh, we're going to explain episode 1. Spoiler alerts coming up.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Disney Plus and Mandalorian starting
now,
which is now. Okay.
And there was like this YouTube video talking about the big reveal at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
And like the first comment was like drinking game. Every time he says Yoda's species.
What is Yoda's species?
Well, that's exactly it. His species doesn't have a name. It's like the official canon is Yoda's species.
George never got around to that one, huh?
He always wanted to keep it mysterious.
If it was George naming it, he'd call it like Frogosaurus or something. He'd call it the Kermitese.
And like the home planet is still a secret.
Yeah.
And like anytime they tried to like merchandise stuff about Yoda's species, George would be like, no way.
Nah.
And like there's only one other member of Yoda's species in the canon.
Yeah.
Yaddle from Phantom Menace.
That's right. Do you know her story?
Not exactly.
So her story is pretty crazy. She like was kept a prisoner for years in like a basement somewhere. Not a basement.
Some cellar.
A space basement.
A space cellar.
A basement sounds so, pedestrian and terrestrial. So like blasé and bourgeois.
A space bunker.
But like, it's a space
subterranean space facility.
A dungeon, we'll call it.
Space dungeon.
A space dungeon.
That's a star dungeon?
Yeah. Yep.
She was kept in a star dungeon.
So anyway, she's got like a crazy story of like hope and overcoming great odds and everything. And all we see of her in the movie is that she nods in approval with the Jedi Council. They were all yes men.
Yeah.
And women. Females.
So there's a lot of talk about Yoda species, which I've said 12 times now.
Yoda's species. Yeah.
Yoda species.
Get your drinking games out. Do you... I was so dumb. I was like, I know this takes place after Return of the Jedi, but I was like, a part of it was like, is that Yoda?
Did he?
Is it Yoda? I was like, is this a secret prequel? Is this prequel territory?
Is this 800 years in the past? No, it's Baby Yoda.
It's not. Was he reborn? Because I'm like, it's so similar to Yoda.
Well, so that's my whole
like, what's up with that?
Well, my favorite theory is there's only 2 members of Yoda's species in canon.
An apprentice?
Yoda and Yaddle. And you remember Yaddle? It's their kid.
Their baby.
Because this takes place approximately 50 years after the Phantom Menace. And what do we know? Yaddle is on the council in the Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly she's not anymore? Like there's some sort of scandal that
Yoda's
drove her.
dirty little secret.
Yoda and his little secret love child.
Oh my gosh.
It's totally Yoda's baby.
They're all like, Jedis can't have wives or children. Meanwhile,
Yoda is just
giving it to Yaddle.
Making these sweet, sweet Jedi babies.
I was just about to do the sound of Yoda having sex with Yaddle.
Don't do that.
Okay. Don't you want to hear it?
And I'm sure it's silent. I'm sure it's just a force meditation.
Oh, yeah. So anyway.
Come on, Troy, this is a Disney show.
That's so funny, though. Oh. All right. So Yoda and Yaddle had
a baby.
Relations, and then they had a baby.
Baby Yoda.
What do you think the gestation period for a Yoda baby is?
Good question.
Hey, here's another question. How big was the baby when it was first born?
Tiny.
I guess Yoda's like baby size to begin with.
So then a baby Yoda is like a baby's baby.
Babies scale to a baby.
And remember, this baby is 50 years old. It's had 50 years of growing.
Is it now? Okay.
I bet it came out, you could hold them in your hand. You wouldn't even need to cup your hands together, just one hand.
Do you think it was like the size of a bean, perhaps? Or a mustard seed? I'm going
to say the size of a small avocado. Not a medium Haas avocado.
Big, dude. Can you imagine a lady Yoda birthing a small avocado?
I can. I can, and I'm doing it right now. And out comes Baby Yoda.
Now you're forcing our audience to imagine it, too.
Here's my problem with Baby Yoda.
Let's hear it.
It's like the cutest thing I've ever seen.
I love it.
And like it's so cute. It's like Disney's just like, hey, suckers. And they're just like ripping our jaws apart and like pouring a cup of sugar down our throat.
Uh-huh.
Just like, I know you idiot. We have a team of graphic illustrators and evolutionary scientists. Disney Imagineers designed this creature so that you would love it involuntarily.
Yeah.
You have no choice.
You hate that.
And, I'm not, I have some, I take issue with that.
Yeah.
Where Disney's just like, enjoy the cutest thing you've ever seen. You're going to love it. You're going to buy every Baby Yoda merch you can.
And of course,
because I'm out looking for Baby Yoda Christmas tree ornaments.
Yeah.
I want them.
I want a Baby Yoda Christmas tree.
And so Disney has formulated this.
Yeah. So you don't like that it's engineered cuteness.
Yeah.
Why not? Because it's taking advantage of you. You feel
it's like hijacking,
forcing itself onto you.
And it's like, it's pouring a cup of sugar down our throats. Where it's
nobody wants that.
Where it's kind of like, I'm ready for this gritty, like, space western.
That's fair, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
And like that's the other thing, like the score for the Mandalorian, it's very like spaghetti western.
Yeah. The first episode, which was great.
Yeah.
And like the ending with, the shootout at OK Corral with
basically
IG-88 or whatever he is.
Yeah.
And that was great. That was so good. That was like such a good way to do a gunfight. I loved it.
Yeah, I think they stole that gunfight from a spaghetti western.
Yeah, for sure they did.
Where it's like the Raiders instead are Mexicans and they bring in like a Gatling gun.
Yeah, the Gatling gun. Yes, absolutely.
But instead they brought in a space Gatling gun. And the Mandalorian had to commandeer it. So
that was a really cool moment.
They took that. So, I mean, I love the show because it's like a space spaghetti western.
Yeah.
With like a Ennio what's his name? Morricone. It's like they literally, I think they take inspiration from him on the score.
Yeah, for sure.
The Mandalorian, does he have a name?
It's the Mandalorian.
It's the man with no name.
And no face either.
And no face.
Do you think we'll ever see his face?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
Well, it's like, why did they hire, Pablo, what's his face?
Pedro Pascal.
Pablo. Pedro Pascal.
He hunted Pablo in Narcos.
That's my confusion.
Yes.
Pedro hunts Pablo.
Yeah.
But his name's not Pablo.
Name's not Pablo. They're not all named Pablo, Lyndon.
What do you mean they? Who are they?
Okay, boomer.
Actors? Not all actors are named Pablo.
Actually, that's not a boomer thing. A boomer would agree with me. They'd be like, yeah. A Millie? Can we call millennials Millies?
A Millie, a
Lenny's?
Millie, a Millie.
What about
a Millie?
Lenny's?
That's a real Lenny. Okay, Lenny.
Friggin' Lenny's. It's not bad. Did we just coin Lenny?
Trademark.
Lenny. Too bad.
So, yeah.
40 people listen to this.
So yeah, Baby Yoda.
It's
It's like almost slightly unnecessary. But yeah, it's so cute. I want
6 of them.
I want a Baby Yoda statue.
I want a Baby Yoda more than I want a baby.
Yeah.
A human baby.
I saw a T-shirt. It was Baby Yoda, and it was a fake pocket on a T-shirt, but Baby Yoda's in the pocket.
Oh my gosh! So it begins. So the merchandising begins. I'm going to go to Disneyland in December for Christmas with my parents.
Drop $500 on Baby Yoda merch.
Dude, you know what I might get? I might get one of those Kylo Ben. I just call him Kylo Ben because, like, why not? His lightsaber.
A replica one.
Yeah.
Well, the fancy ones?
You're
going to put it over your couch?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you could put a lot of, like, movie...
Dude, I could.
Movie stuff in here. You got room for some movie posters.
These walls are so bare. Just like my heart and soul. Say something, please.
Continue that thought. I love the Mandalorian, the after credits with the little art.
Yeah, I like that too.
I was like, you could get some Mandalorian art posters.
Okay, so last time we saw each other, I had not seen the second episode of The Mandalorian, and you said there's going to be a scene in the second episode that you're going to love. Do you remember that?
That I said you're going to love, or I said you're going to recognize that I love it?
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it was.
Let me give you the context because I remember this. Is we were talking about like the Ewoks.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, imagine if they just started like slaughtering them. Just started like mercilessly destroying these Ewoks. And I was like, there's a scene in the second episode of The Mandalorian.
Okay.
That you're going to
see, this is what because my guess was that the scene you were thinking of was the wanton slaughter of
the Jawas.
The Jawas. Yeah. Hootini. He just throws them off.
He's either like disintegrating them or just like whipping them off the little thing.
Yeah. He kills a lot of Jawas. Do you think they're on Tatooine?
No.
Is that clear?
That's not clear for a few reasons. The one thing you see,
the Jawas.
I have a few. Right. So people were like, we've only ever seen Jawas on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And there's also in the episode 1, the species of Salacious Crumb, the little space monkeys that are being roasted.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And so it's like, we've only ever seen the Salacious Crumb folk on Tatooine. We've only ever seen Jawas on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Or have we? Because there is a theory, people think that they like go everywhere to scavenge.
Let's list all the Star Wars planets. Tatooine.
Dantooine.
Sky City.
Skywalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch. Dagobah.
Coruscant.
Coruscant.
Lothal. What's Felucia?
That's actually a planet name, isn't it?
It is.
That's the one that...
I'm basically just... Geonosis. I'm just naming all the like battlegrounds from like Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh, yeah. Geonosis, you said?
Yeah.
Yavin
4.
Which one is that? Oh, that's the ship.
I think that's a moon. That's a base for the rebels. Yavin 4.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And that's from A New Hope. And she's like, they're on... No, that's Dantooine. They're on Dantooine. We will get them in time, but it's not a big enough target to make a suitable impression. That was Moff
Tarkin.
The Grand Moff Tarkin. Do people... You know what? I don't care if people care about Star Wars. We do.
We care about it.
Anyway, back to naming planets.
Wait, why were we naming planets?
I don't know.
Right.
Oh,
so
we're trying to get a Rolodex of planets.
On Tatooine.
Where else have we seen Jawas? I submit nowhere else.
Well, I feel like they made an appearance in like the prequels on Tatooine. Probably.
On Tatooine. Jakku is another one.
Right.
Canto Bite.
Don't even talk about Canto.
What's the other?
There were no Jawas on Jakku, right?
No, they had their own sort of version.
And if there was a place for Jawas to go to, they would want to go there to scavenge.
Yeah.
Due to their little scavenging nature.
There's so much to scavenge there, too. A lot of old Empire stuff. Do we want to talk about Wait, have we?
Wait, you're wearing a Tatooine t-shirt.
It's like I work for Tatooine.
So, do you have a secret agenda? You're like, does the Mandalorian secretly take place on Tatooine?
I think it takes place on Tatooine.
I'm like, you're wearing a Tatooine Chamber of Commerce shirt right now.
You're in with Big Tatooine, aren't you?
You're a Tatooine shill.
I swear I'm not. Buy your Big Tatooine shirt today. Visit Tatooine. How much would you love to visit Tatooine?
You know,
I know you'll love it. I'm just saying how much.
There's too much sand, though. It gets everywhere.
Of course.
I'm beginning to think Star Wars has been a little too saturated on Tatooine.
Dude, I love Tatooine. Everyone loves Tatooine. It's so nostalgic.
It's like everything. I'm beginning to think The Mandalorian does take place on Tatooine.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of things are
I've
shaping
fallen
up.
for your silly theory.
You've drunk the Kool-Aid. You've swallowed the...
As long as you swallow
pill.
my Yoda Yaddle love story Kool-Aid.
I'm all in on that. The Yoda Yaddle ship. Is that what that's called? Is that what the Lennies are calling it these days?
Is that what Lennies call it?
So, should we talk about episode 9 at all? Or do we want to not even think about it? So that we don't even...
Rise of Skywalker.
What does that name even mean?
I thought the Skywalkers were all dead.
I know. We're like finishing up the Skywalker saga.
They should all be dead.
And it's like Rise of Skywalker?
Well, I don't know.
Who's the Skywalker in question?
Well, I guess because
Solo?
there was this idea.
I mean, Kylo Ben?
I guess he's technically a Skywalker. His mom is Leia.
Leia.
Who is still alive in the film universe for now.
And thank Yaddle for that.
If we go into my deep Star Wars theories, back to the Clone Wars Season 5, George Lucas's finest work.
Okay.
I think the ultimate goal of, the I guess episodes 1 through 9 is the story of the Skywalkers, is Force immortality. I think in episode 9, it's going to be Force Ghost City.
Oh.
So the rise of the Skywalker is just like Luke Skywalker's coming back a Force Ghost. It's like the Force Ghosts are going to it's like the Jedi or the Last Jedi. The Jedi are over.
Yeah.
It's the Force Ghost time now.
Rise of the Force Ghosts. Episode 10. I was talking to Theo about episode 8, Last Jedi, recently over text message, and
oh yeah, he's a big lover of that stupid film.
He loves it. I wouldn't say it's objectively a good film. It's just a good film. There's too much that's good about it.
It's a film.
There's too much that's good about it.
People that had problems with it, I think, had legitimate problems.
Here's my problem. I was able to distill my problem. As I wrote it out, I was like, oh, that's exactly the problem with it. And I'm sort of stealing a bit from various YouTube videos about this, but
right.
It's that the whole movie is about disrupting or the norms. It's twisting the norms that we come to expect from A, a Star Wars film, and B, a hero's journey type film.
Which is like, hey, thanks for nothing.
Yeah. It's
we're going to subvert your expectations.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Subvert expectations.
I'm so upset right now. I can't even speak.
Stuck in it.
Expectations.
Yeah.
Be like, because what you want is something good. So what we're going to give you is something bad and call it art.
Yeah, that's a very simplistic way. That is what they were doing. And it was almost intentionally bad. My big problem is that it switched right at the end.
But Empire subverts, where it's like the whole point is the Empire strikes back. It's just like the good guys didn't really win.
Well, Empire is what they did really well is understood the purpose of the second movie in a trilogy, which is to be the second act. Nothing gets resolved in the second act. It's always in the third act that things get resolved. And in the third act of Empire, nothing gets some things get resolved. We have sort of a mini resolution, but ultimately it's setting up a further question that gets resolved in Return of the Jedi.
Right. And one argument that people use to defend The Last Jedi is they say people hated Empire at first, and then they loved it once they had to watch Return of the Jedi. And they're like, oh my gosh, Empire was so good compared to this.
And let's hope that's not the case.
And I don't... Because I guess Return of the Jedi made The Empire Strikes Back make sense in that it resolves all the problems. I don't know.
They do a lot in 3 films. Those first 3 films, they actually accomplish quite a bit story-wise. But the other thing I was going to say about Last Jedi is that it says it's like setting out to... It's like, okay, let the past die. Past is done. We're moving on. And a central theme is like, the Jedi. Are they useful? Maybe we need to move past the Jedi and the Sith and all this garbage. Mm-hmm. And then we get to that crux moment in the film where Kylo, he's like extending this idea of like, let's work together. Let's have a middle ground here. I'm not that great, and you're a force for good. I'm a force for bad, sort of thing. And let's work together. But it's like, nope, zoop, flips the subversion on its head, and it just reverts back to another hero's journey, but without any of the setup, and hence none of the payoff at the end when she's like, "Oh, the Jedi will continue." It's like, okay, well now we.
But then it's kind of where it's like, well, Yoda doesn't want, Ghost Yoda shows up,
yeah,
and he's just like, Luke, let's get rid of the Jedi. It was all for nothing.
I love that impression of Yoda, by the way.
Like Luke's trying to like get to the root, the real traditional Jedi values, and like at their original temple, and Yoda's like, blow the whole thing up.
Page turners, they were not. Favorite line, whole movie. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
so where it's like the Force is eternal, the Jedi, who needs them?
Yeah, the Force.
But then at the end, it's just like, we're gonna keep the Jedi going.
Just kidding. The Jedi are very useful. And like,
it's like, well, what is it?
It's like, it doesn't set up anything. Like, because this is another thing that I said to Theo was that episode 9, it kind of has to set up some questions and answer those questions within the film. Because a lot of questions have already been, quote unquote, answered.
Well, it's like some big questions are like, is Kylo Ben going to be redeemed? Is Rey going to fall to the dark side? No. The whole like
no to both.
Well, the whole like Rey going to the dark side and having like some evil red double saber like Maul. I think that's a vision.
They even said that. I'm so sure that they said that's a vision.
It was like in the trailer or something, and they're just like, oh, that was a vision.
That's so dumb to just come out and say that was a vision.
Well,
let us think it's real for a second.
Well, maybe it's a vision of what will actually happen. Who knows? But it's just like, people are they going to subvert it and make Rey be bad and Kylo be good? And it's like, who cares?
I kind of want that. That's what I wanted. I wanted like...
And that's the thing. The whole point of this new series is to never give you what you want.
Oh my gosh.
Remember Snoke?
I liked Snoke.
He was like this really mysterious, super powerful. It's like, oh my gosh, how did this guy raise up like a brand new empire? That doesn't matter. He's dead.
And he looked so good in The Last Jedi. He really did look great.
Those little gold robes he was wearing.
His gold robes.
I was like, that's so ridiculous. It's cool.
His face is just like the CG was quite incredible. But yeah, I have problems with The Last Jedi, and most of them revolve around Canto Bight and the fact that
oh my gosh,
the structure of the film should have ended with Kylo and what's her name, Rey, teaming up in an ambiguous and fragile alliance.
And that, yeah.
And the movie, boom, end it right there.
then you have some questions, and then it's like the beginning of Rise of the Skywalker is, they like have to, they defeat the people, so then they go away.
Yeah.
And maybe they get back together. Who knows? Yeah. We're going to have a movie to find that out.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've been talking for 50 minutes now. And I'm glad we talk about it for 50 more minutes, I say.
Yeah.
About that. So I don't know. Those are those are our thoughts about that.
I have my prediction is that we watch Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Or Rise of the Skywalkers. What's it called?
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Just one Skywalker.
Just one.
Or one family.
Yeah.
But I think that will actually end up redeeming The Last Jedi. That's my prediction.
You're probably right. I think the puzzle is incomplete. We will get a resolution. I think JJ's good at sticking the landing on these things. Or is he?
Wait. Maybe he's not.
Dude, he's stuck, what's it called?
Lost?
Not Lost. Force Awakens, man. I loved Force Awakens. It was so good.
Well, I loved it too. But that's their complaint is because he just rewrote A New Hope.
It wasn't that. It was,
it was that and more.
The final sequence is, yes, the final sequence of A New Hope. But it's combined with the real magic, which was Kylo Ren versus Rey versus Finn. And just that moment where he's like, that lightsaber, it belongs to me. And then he calls to it and then flies past his face. Boom. Rey catches it. I got tingles right now just even talking about it. I feel the spirit talking about it.
Amen.
And then the big swell. So good. So I think he's got a good handle on making us feel things, and I hope that he makes us feel some things.
Because I loved The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
I just had an okay time watching The Last Jedi.
I did walk out of The Last Jedi. As I was watching, I was like, "This is really cool." There's some great moments in The Last Jedi, like the fight with Kylo and Rey fighting the guards. Great.
Some sloppy choreography when you look at it under a microscope.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of guys waiting to attack.
Or purposefully missing.
Yeah, a lot of that going on. But on the macro, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything with Kylo and Rey is great, I think.
A lightsaber never touched a lightsaber.
My biggest complaint, yeah.
In that movie.
And then Canto Bite is just it's a cool... I'm glad we got to go there, but...
I'm not.
Just Rose. And the fact that the whole slow... the slow ship following the other ship. Don't like that. That's not what I like.
No.
I like Empire. The little Millennium Falcon shooting through space. I guess that's exactly what happened in Empire. A whole fleet trying to chase the Millennium Falcon.
Well, yeah. We could complain all day about The Last Jedi.
Let's not. Have you watched anything else on Disney Plus?
Oh, yeah. I'm catching up on Star Wars Rebels Season 4.
Okay.
They talk about fuel at least once an episode. It makes me real mad.
Yeah, I think we talked about there's a discussion of a fuel thing in The Mandalorian. He's like, the fuel costs alone would break me.
Yeah.
That won't even cover the cost of fuel because we use fuel for our ships. And I'm just
where he's trying to steal a ship from his own, rebel thing. And he's just and they're like, oh yeah, the A speeder there, it's already full of fuel. I was like, shut up.
What fuel?
Suddenly fuel became
dinosaur bones.
Fuel became the most important thing in the world in Star Wars after The Last Jedi.
After midi-chlorians.
Yeah. Fuel is the new midi-chlorians.
Fuel is the new midi-chlorians. That's going to be a t-shirt. I think we should start coming out with T-shirts. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously.
I've been watching a lot of Disney movies. We've talked somewhat about that. Not on mic, but let me just say.
Oh yeah, you got to talk about your epiphany. I mean, I watched Mulan.
Yeah.
Because, which I actually thought was hilarious. It's at the tail end of like Disney's Golden Renaissance or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like this kind of feminist movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, she's a woman, but she fights and saves her dad.
Yeah.
But it's really just like reinforcing like gender roles. Because it's like that whole song, the one that I love, that I sing almost every day that I can't remember right now.
The lyrics of
to defeating the Huns, you know, it's like the strength of force of a raging river
to defeat
the Huns.
Then they sent me daughters when I asked for sons.
I mean, that song taught me everything about being a man.
Yes.
And then like the next song after that is it's just like a girl worth fighting for.
A girl worth fighting for. Great songs.
Yeah. And I was like, hey man, I need a girl like that. But yeah, and then that reflection song. When will my reflection show who I am? Oh, something like that.
That was really good.
And I was like, this is hardly a feminist movie at all.
This is a masculinist.
This is like reinforcing traditional masculine roles.
Boomer loves this film.
It just so happens that the lead is a woman.
Just so happens.
And it's all about like honor and stuff. I was like, this is when Disney was Disney.
You know what? Speaking of the best, I think I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I've watched, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 Disney films in close, succession to each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pocahontas, best songs.
The color of
Just
the wind.
beyond the river bend. Just beyond the river. Da, 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 da. Yeah, and then Colors of the Wind, man.
Oh, and the Savages song.
And the Savages, barely even human. But guess what?
I have sung that every time I make a sandwich for my whole life. I'm like, sandwiches, barely even human. As I like make a sandwich. Sandwiches. And then I just like eat them like they're savages.
That's so good. Man, and it's such a great, I forgot how that movie ended, which is they're about to go to war and Pocahontas stops them with love.
Beautiful.
It's so beautiful, man. I'm crying like a baby in all these films. And I'll just say now what happened to me after watching like 6 hero journeys in a row.
Yeah. Culminated with The Lion King.
The Lion King.
Tell us what happened.
I think The Lion King is objectively the best Disney film.
That's probably true.
Not necessarily my favorite. I do love it.
I think it's highest. Is it still the highest grossing one anyway?
It could have. It's probably, yeah. That's probably true. So I watch it, and we know that people always are like, it's just Hamlet. I think it's
You're quoting me.
Quote Lyndon. It's much more than that, I say. It's much different, the ending especially. I mean, there are a lot of similarities. He kills his uncle who killed his father, fair enough.
It's
like the king.
It's like Hamlet is a tragedy. If you rewrote Hamlet instead of being a tragedy to be a hero's journey, you get The Lion King.
That's a very fair assessment. So around the midway of the film, Simba is off with Timon and Pumbaa. They have taught him about Hakunamatata. It's a wonderful phrase, and it ain't no passing craze, and it means no worries for the rest of your days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those lyrics really describe it very well. And so...
What do they describe really well?
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
It ain't no passing phrase. It's a wonderful phrase, and it means no worries for the rest of your days. And I always, as a kid, I remember like, yeah, this Hakuna Matata, it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the film, watching it this time, it's not. Like, that's not the message of the film. The film is like, in the film, Nala, when she finds Simba as an adult, living his Hakuna Matata life, she's like, what are you doing, dude? It's like the equivalent would be if he was just like in his mom's basement eating Cheetos with his two buddies. And he's like, hey, man, Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
It's like she's reaching out to him being like, you got to like go back to the throne and you got to be the king you were always meant to be. And then, of course, the Rafiki scene, and then the when Mufasa comes back and in the clouds, and he's like, Simba, you, and the things he tells him, it's like, remember who you are. Oh, yeah. You are more than what you have become. I think that's the line. There's more to you than what you have become. You're living below what you could be, sort of a thing. And he's like, remember who you are, remember. And then Simba's like, don't leave me. And I'm bawling at this point.
Of course.
It's a geyser. It's just like, I got to get a mop. I'm crying. Because I'm like, I'm Simba. I'm living Hakuna Matata life right now.
Yeah.
And my forefathers are coming back to me in the form of Mufasa.
Earl Jamesy Jones.
Earl Jamesy Jones. We were watching, yeah, that's a little inside joke. Lyndon called him. Who was that? Was that you?
Yeah.
Earl Jamesy Jones. Yeah.
I was, we're talking about the voice of Darth Vader. And I tried to...
You sincerely tried to name him.
But the thing is, I started with Earl. And once I knew I started with Earl and I knew I was wrong, I committed to it. And I was like, Earl Jonesy James. James Jonesy.
Earl Jomy James. Earl Jonesy James is his new name. And so anyway, I just had that epiphany. It was just like I need to get serious about I can't be living this Hakuna Matata life.
You need a Nala. You need a female
I need a Nala.
Archetype animus.
I need a Nala.
You know what's going to blow your mind?
What?
You know Jordan Peterson has an entire lecture series on The Lion King.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
If you want Jordan Peterson breaking down The Lion King for like 4 hours, it's on YouTube.
Dude, I'm all over that.
Yeah, no, I can tell you. I used to be Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
Then I got married.
Then you got married.
A Nala came into my life and was like, dude,
go be the king you were always meant to be. Like, what a call to action that is, though. It's like you were meant, in Simba's case, literally meant to be the king. But like, what a great call to be greater than you are. That's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. It's like if you're sitting around, you're on your couch or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'll get around to writing that novel someday, or I'll get around to getting married and having a wife someday. It's like, no, you gotta exert yourself, and you were meant to be more. I love that idea. And that's like a gospel thing too, that it's one of my favorite aspects of our doctrine is this idea that we were always meant to be something more, something greater. Mm-hmm. And that we can sort of like use it to rise up. Because I like a challenge, Lyndon.
Yeah.
I like to rise up to a challenge.
And in the case of men, it's always women that cause them to self-reflect on this.
Yeah, or
it's like women always make men look into the abyss.
That's it. Yeah.
Where they see Mufasa.
Right. That's probably true. Women are like, go look into the pond, and then go talk to Mufasa, and that's an interesting point.
So it's like even back to Adam and Eve. It's like Adam never would have, become who he was supposed to be without Eve for him to like.
Women are like this focusing crystal for men almost.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some Lennies out there just screaming at us right now.
Well, yeah, this is all very traditional.
What, like a woman is just for a man to become all that he can be?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say just. I would say that
Not
women,
just, but yeah.
Isn't it funny? I guess I've watched a few. I've watched Pocahontas. I realize now that I haven't watched a ton of the like the princess movies.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the early ones are very like just kind of reinforcing that like you need a man to kiss you or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wonder how their journeys sort of like, do those movies reinforce, like, do they teach women about sort of this meta narrative, like the way that Lion King taught me about how I need to
trying to think,
be a better man?
Well, this is all, once again, Jordan Peterson, because he ripped apart Frozen, and he always kept comparing it to Sleeping Beauty, where Sleeping Beauty is not about like gender roles, but he had something about Sleeping Beauty, like our consciousness and our unconsciousness, and what forces us into consciousness.
Oh, interesting.
So you have to watch Sleeping Beauty and think about that, because in her case, it is a man that forces her into consciousness.
But isn't it interesting? It's always like in these films, it's always the opposite sex forces, because you can sort of live in this silo of alone. You can be sort of this insular version of yourself and everything, and you can be relatively self-sustaining, but you will also be stagnant.
Right. And
that introducing relationships, maybe that's what it is. It's relationships specifically with the opposite sex, or that can sort of, at least, and of course, in talking about classic Disney movies, you always have to, it's always in the paradigm of like a traditional point of view with men and women, etc. But it's an interesting idea that it's our interactions, our relationships with the opposite sex that sort of spark us into action or cause self-reflection or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. These movies are deep, man. I didn't realize. I never knew. I never realized.
Yeah.
Until I watched like 6 of them in a row. Hercules was another one. That was a good one. Even more literal than.
Yeah. I remember everyone loves Hercules. I'm not the biggest fan.
What's your problem with it?
I don't know. It's like a little too 90s for me. Like it's just like it's very apparent Hercules was made in the 90s, where I think the rest of them are a little more timeless.
There are some cultural touchstones they sort of reference in Hercules, but like the sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, Hercules is good.
Yeah, Pocahontas is great, man, because it's like this woman who like wants to. She wants to follow her own compass. She wants to follow her own heart and her own path, and she doesn't want to just like, slide into what her father wants for her or what other people want for her. And it's great. It's a great message.
Oh, thank goodness Pocahontas never learned about residential schools.
Well, that was many years in the future, yet to come.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the big classics now. Oh, I got to watch Pinocchio. Another Jordan Peterson classic, yes. Breakdown.
Yeah.
I told you all about how he broke down Pinocchio to a bunch of my fellow classmates, and they're like, "Wow, did you come up with that yourself?" And I was like, well, who can say?
As far as you know, yes.
I just said it right here. Where do ideas come from? I don't know.
So Disney, we've been talking for, the time has flown by, Lyndon. we're at an hour 10 right now. We haven't even got to Garrett W. Gong.
Yeah, I remember you wrote that down, and I was like, we're not going to have anything to say about it.
Or Joseph Smith's top 10 funniest moments. The idea, you know what we should do? We should talk about that for a minute and then call the episode that. Like, people are just completely misled.
They're ready for a Garrett W. Gong, new youth program breakdown.
Yeah.
And we're just here to report that Garrett W. Gong had a little Sunday fireside to explain it some more. I don't have kids. Why would I go?
Kind of useless now to remind everyone because it's in the past.
Well, I'm sure it was recorded and they can go back. If they're worried about the details of the youth program, they can go look it up.
They can go look at it on their own time because we're not going to spend another second on it.
Because we're on Disney Plus and Baby Yoda.
Yeah, we're all about that. We're making a new church. It's called
Morslems Disney. Walt Morslems.
Mandalorians.
It's like a Rick and Morty episode. Hey, that's back, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I haven't watched any. There's 2 out.
I have no idea how to watch it now.
I think maybe YouTube you can. That's how I watched it last time.
It's just some random pirating.
Some pirate. And you'd put it on and you catch it like the morning after and they still hadn't like caught it yet. So
they don't take it down.
Maybe we can save Joseph Smith's top 10 funniest. I feel like I like when we just.
All right. You want to force us. It's like the top 10 greatest speakers.
Yeah.
And we haven't thought about it.
And I just like going off the dome, forcing ourselves to try to think of it.
Joseph Smith made his own bank and created his own currency. Number 1 funniest.
The prank of polygamy. What a fun joke that was on Emma. What about
that one? Got out of hand though.
Yeah, a little out of hand, as jokes do sometimes.
Joseph Smith.
What about when he dressed Brigham Young down in front of everybody, and then Brigham's like, "What would you have me do?" And then he's like, "Nothing. You passed the test. It was a joke." I
don't know about that one.
That was our good friend Truman G. Matson, and he talked like this. Do you know who I'm talking about? Truman G.
I know Truman G. Matson.
That's exactly what he sounds like.
It was a good impression.
He was magnificent, and he was also fierce in times of trial. and a screeching halt we just made to the momentum of the podcast.
He was just ripping Brigham Young apart.
Yeah, that's the story. He stands him up. He's like, "This, a bunch of things that you did wrong, Brigham." And then he's like, "What do you have to say about that?" And then Brigham, just like a humble lion, the lion of Beehive House.
The Beehive of Lion House.
Says, "The great lion of the West, Governor Young. The greatest polygamist to ever live."
Not governor yet.
Said, "What would you have me do, Joseph?" That's how Truman G. Matson would say it. And he says, and then apparently Joseph Smith breaks down in tears, and he's like, "You passed the test, pal." So he would just like test people randomly, I guess.
Like he was just trying to provoke him to anger, and then he wasn't angry, so he's just like, "Good work."
Here's a fun little...
I should do that to my friends more often.
Yeah, we all should. There was Joseph Smith, and I was going to say he liked to... Oh, actually, here's a good joke story, like a funny moment from Joseph's life. He... So there used to be these preachers back in that time, and they would talk like this, and everything they say was in this sort of falsetto, sort of a vibrato falsetto thing. And so one of these preachers came to visit Joseph Smith in their home, and he was talking about something religious like that. And then Joseph said something to the effect of, "If you're going to bray like an ass, why don't you just leave or something like that. And then apparently he left. And so that was
got him.
His funniest moment. And there you have it, folks.
The top 10. We got close to 10.
That was like at least 4. And they weren't actually. I don't know. Well, 1 hour and 15 minutes, I think. Is there anything else?
I wanted to
emails, and I wanted to ask you this. That'll be our closing question. I'm not even gonna. If you don't remember what it is, then I'm not gonna remind you till it's time. Alexander C. Williams says, "I cried tears of joy when Troy said we're best friends," and it's true. He says, "I'd love if Jasmine did a podcast, the True Crime Murder Podcast." Love the show as always.
We got one guaranteed listener.
Yep. And then he says, "I think Cheryl," and then he spells Cheryl like 6 different ways, "should come on the show."
Ooh.
What do you think about that?
She's been asking.
She's been asking.
She wants to come on the show so she can dress you down.
Oh, I'd love that. What? Because like, what do I like? That's I think the listeners want that. If you okay, here's the thing, listeners, and I'm talking to all you lurkers. I'm talking to the lurkers right now. We got the true and faithful, and then we got the lurkers who just listen and don't engage.
Who are true and faithful in a sense.
Yes.
But not the truest and faithful.
You're not the most true or the most.
You're true, but you're not faithful.
You're true and faithful, but I just want if you like send us an email, or if you want the Cheryl episode to happen,
100 likes on our Instagram post.
We need 100 likes. That seems a little high. Actually, our last photo kind of went semi-viral, I think. It got like 80 likes or something.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
100. I think I did talk to someone at basketball, and they said they saw the post because it's like, if you follow like Mormon meme pages,
oh yeah,
it's like other accounts you might like. Yeah. Mission Stories podcast.
Cool.
So they saw it because it looked like a Mormon meme. So the algorithms threw it in with that lot.
Nice.
That's probably why.
Pretty cool.
We got to stick to memes. So I'm saying 100 likes.
100 likes. Send us a DM on the Instagram. Send us an email, themissionsstoriespodcast@gmail.com, or the Mission Stories Podcast on Instagram. And you have to like send us a message and be like, do it. And if we get how many emails or messages combined total or comments on the Instagram post
of people saying they want Cheryl,
it's like a vote system. It's like we got to encourage.
Oh, I think if we get 10 direct engagements, that represents 1 billion. What's the ratio on that? If 10 direct engagements means 100 people want it.
Okay.
100 likes, 10 direct engagements.
I say 20 people.
That's not going to happen.
Well, then the Cheryl episode
will never happen.
Won't happen.
What would even happen? Like, I would just sit here.
You would sit here
and just.
I would talk to her about her visions and dreams.
She'd love to talk about it.
I would love to.
We're probably going to get 10 messages from Cheryl.
No, it's got to be individuals. Let's call it 15.
Split the difference.
15. If 15 people send us a message, send us an email, comment.
Call us on our cell phone.
Yeah. And let us know, and we'll try to make it happen. All right, so that's our promise. What else?
Did you finish his email?
I think I did, but there's also a second email.
Okay.
It's a little long. I haven't read this, but I'm just gonna read it. And it says, "Hey guys," from Alex Williams again. He says, "Hey guys, Lyndon mentioned the average Canadian reading level at grade 8 level. I did a test that said my reading level speed is less than a third grader. Comprehension, however, probably not as low." Interesting. He's admitting to being a dummy.
Right. We talked about illiteracy.
Yeah.
So Alex Williams is illiterate.
He drafts a good email, unless he maybe farms that out.
So he's saying just his reading speed.
Sure. Yeah.
That can't be right. How fast does a third grader read?
He's a smarty pants. He's just being humble. He also says, "You like Hemingway? Well, I've read The Old Man and the Sea and hated it.
Get out of here.
Waste of my time, and with my terrible reading speed, you can imagine it took a lot of time."
60 pages.
It's 60 pages. It took him a year to read it. Took me a year to read Whom the Bell Tolls.
Me too. That one was a dry boy.
Dry boy, but the end was good, though.
The end was good.
He says, "Okay, back up. You guys really goofed, Lyndon, specifically on how government works." Oh, yeah, dude. The last episode where we're talking about how government works.
We're like combining the American and Canadian system or something.
That was one of my favorite parts of any podcast we've ever done. So he says, first, in the USA, the Senate and the House of Representatives are both part of Congress. I did not know that. And the House has more people. Together, they make the legislative branch of the U.S. federal government. Second, in Canada, both the Senate and the House of Commons are part of Parliament. Okay, that makes more sense.
But yes. Senate is useless in Canada.
He says, yes, the Senate should be abolished in Canada. There is also the Crown represented by the Governor General. Currently, Julie ellipsis. He can't remember. Moving on, he says. Those are called bicameral legislatures, with an upper house, the Senate in both cases, and a lower house, the other one. Aren't you glad I was here to fact check you? I am glad. And then he says, P.S. I'd be happy to come on the show as I am not married. Was that an inside joke? Did we make a joke about not being married?
I think we talked about maybe we only know married people now, or single people are dead to us. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I think we need to have more things where I don't understand it at all and you explain it horribly to me.
I think we did a pretty good job.
Because that was really good listening when I listened.
I don't know what his complaint is.
Yeah.
Where we didn't say that Senate is in Congress.
I am the
We didn't
Senate.
talk about the upper house and the lower house. Get out of here, Alex. We were like...
Broad strokes.
We were 80% accurate.
Don't you know how to podcast? He does. He has like 6 podcasts.
It's true.
My last question
Speaking
for you.
of podcast ideas...
Yes?
Another thing I thought about,
Okay.
besides like when I'm driving, I'm like, Calgary? And I was thinking of a literary reference and our literary minutes.
Literary moment. Yeah.
I was like, we could make an entire podcast where each episode we review a short story of Hemingway.
We could.
Because it'd be because who wants to listen to like 2 English majors break down these stories?
Not me.
Instead, it's like 2 schmucks who are like, we like Ernest.
We call it 2 schmucks who like Hemingway.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
It would force me to read more Hemingway.
2 schmucks. And it's very I like how specific it is. And there's a lot of those stories. You can make a lot of episodes about that.
And you can even do a 3-part. I think the last Hemingway I read was To Have and Have Not.
Okay.
And I was like, this is a good book.
It's good.
I was like, I'm a schmuck who likes Hemingway. I wonder if I know another schmuck who likes Hemingway.
Here I am, a schmuck, liking him. I got my Hemingway reader in the bathroom.
So we can just
Hemingway for Dummies in the bathroom.
And we just like bumble through these stories.
Yeah, I love it, Lyndon.
So that was my podcast idea.
Coming soon.
Hit us up if you want TSWLH. TSWLH. 2 schmucks who like Hemingway.
Coming soon. You know what? That might actually happen. It's very possible. Lennon, there's one more question I wanted to ask you. What are you not easygoing about?
Okay, well, the Nala in my life reminded me about something I'm not easygoing about.
My Nala.
My Nala.
The old Nala and chain. I'm sorry, Jasmine.
But so I was like, I think she asked me the same. She's like, what makes you mad? I'm like, nothing makes me mad. She's like, remember when I told you not to look at your phone during church and you lost your mind? And I was like, well, yeah, because that was the greatest breach of my freedom known to man.
Of all time.
And I even went on a massive rant about how I deserve to look at my phone during church on the podcast.
You did, yeah.
And my whole family was just like, oh, excuse me, I didn't know you felt so strongly about it.
Well, I did die.
They're like, look at you. And I'm like, how dare anyone tell me how to experience church?
Oh, he's got too much brain power. He needs to be tied over with his little phone games in addition to listening to other people.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that is not, I don't think that's quite resolved.
Just a smarty pants.
Well, he needs his mind occupied to feel the spirit.
Well, aren't you a smarty pants?
So that makes me mad.
Okay, that's
fair. I get upset when people tell me how to do church.
How to do church.
And they're like, there's a right way to do it, and you're doing it wrong. And I'm like,
you say, get out.
And I was like, I'll burn the church to the ground first.
I'll burn this church to the ground before I do church your way. I do church my way.
My way or the highway.
'Cause I'm on the highway to hell. King, king, king.
That being said, I do try to look at my phone a little bit less.
Look at you, a good husband.
Yeah.
Listening to honey.
Yeah.
Getting on that honeydew list, am I right?
I have had a honeydew list before.
I crumpled it up and swallowed it.
No, I just did all the things.
I did it, honey. All right, folks. That's our show. Thanks for listening again. And let us know what you think. You know how to reach us. We just talked about it. Lyndon?
Instagram.
Is there anything else we're missing that we need to talk about?
I mean, whether you're watching some Disney movies, The Mandalorian, you're feeling that sweet, sweet, cute little baby Yoda, and it makes you feel a little softness in your heart, and it makes you think, maybe I should go buy some Baby Yoda merch. Don't.
Oh.
Remember, you need to be like Simba.
Yeah.
Become greater than you are, because life's a mission.
Remember who you are. Bye.